Hey everybody, I'm Josh.
And I'm Eitan.
Welcome back to the 18th episode. Wow, we're flying through. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, wow, Josh. It's
I feel
crazy.
like literally feel like we just started. Like not to sound, all stuff like that, but we really we did. I mean,
Yeah, and we got a lot of stuff coming your way. We're working on interviews, that's performed well.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
got a lot of stuff
So
coming.
the Younger Half podcast. We're two 14-year boys from New Jersey who discuss, debate, and share insights and everything from history to politics, sports, current events, and more. Follow us on Instagram at The Younger Half and all other social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok at The Younger Half. To see more of our podcasts, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform at The Younger Half. You can also check out our YouTube channel to see our faces during our podcast. Also, if you'd like to help grow the podcast by supporting us with a monthly donation, head to anchor.fm/theyounger/half/support or click on the link in the description. All the stuff we say during the intro is in the description. So, where am I? So this week, this episode, we have the Amy Barrett hearings, we have COVID-19, and we got a little bit of a random question about the internet and phones, and then we got a really, really great interview.
Yeah,
Got it.
guys, it's great.
Yeah, we got an
Stick around.
interview with our best friend Josh. You'll see that the second half of it. It's a long interview, 45 minutes around, but great interview. Stay with it. About it's about a reporter. So yeah, stick around for that, and let's get right into it, Eitan. Actually,
Yeah, let's
just
get
kidding.
into
I have one more thing to say.
it.
So by the way, for those on YouTube, the interview will not be video. Um, the thing we use for interview, whatever, the reason doesn't matter, but the interview will not be video, and all other future interviews will also only be audio.
So check it out,
Yeah,
anchor.fm/theyoungerhalf.
yeah, and for YouTube, like I just said, the 45 minutes will just be our logo. All
Which
right.
is nice too.
Yeah. I mean,
All right, Josh,
music. Yeah.
let's
By the
go.
way, yeah. One more thing.
Oh,
Like Ethan was
more?
saying, um, during the intro, we got huge things coming our way. We've been saying this for quite some time, but this is
We're
unconfirmed.
delivering, guys. Don't worry. Here we go.
Hopefully, um, should I say about the reporter, Ethan, or should we keep it for later?
Well, we mentioned in the interview,
Yeah,
so
we
stick
mentioned it
around
later.
for
Yeah,
that,
stick around
guys.
for that, and we have a whole bunch of interviews planned. Hopefully, and it's in the works. A influencer on TikTok who has over 1 million followers, so that is hopefully going to happen. And yeah, let's after about 3.5 minutes of an intro, let's let's
Let's
get
get
into
into
it.
it, Josh. Yeah.
Got a bit of a sloppy one so far, but so we got did I? Yeah, I did that already. So let's get into the Amy Barrett hearings. Um, wow. So yeah, it's been a we did the interview already, so that's why
Yeah, the
we're a
interview
little
was
all over the
really,
place.
really great, guys.
That's why we're a little all
One
over
of
the
the
place.
best
We're
we've done. So
good old
check
10
it out.
o'clock at
Stick
night
around.
start. Good old 10 o'clock at night start of the episode. But all right, let's
Yeah.
really get into this. So the Amy Barrett hearings, confirmation hearings, happened around 2 weeks ago. By the time this comes out, and Eitan, do you know if they're continuing next week or is that just
Yeah, they're gonna be continuing, but I'm pretty sure
this is the start of
if
them?
yeah, this was the start, but I'm pretty sure Mitch McConnell wants to, they all these sorry about that. All
Republicans.
these Republicans on the GOP, they all want to rush this. So I think by it's
The
Wednesday for
grand old
us,
party.
but last week it's I think like last Wednesday. Well, now it'll be this Wednesday for us, but I think around Wednesday it's gonna be voted on, which is also process.
Already?
I'm pretty sure they're really trying to rush it. I think by the end of the week, she might be confirmed.
I don't think so.
Obviously,
I think it takes 2 months.
I don't know. I think they're really, really rushing this. I don't know. We'll
I
have to
think
see,
that might not be
obviously,
true, but well, yeah,
Really?
only time will tell.
Only time
Quite
will
frankly,
tell.
um,
But yeah, like, what do you think about these whole hearings? Have you been watching? I know we have school now, so
yeah, I mean, I've been seeing clips like on
yeah,
TikTok and YouTube.
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like here's my views on the hearings. My views is that how much could it tell by
I mean,
when
I
you
feel like
ask a question and can't answer
yeah.
any of the actual questions that you want to know? Meaning, because it might come up in a case, so you can't answer. Like, you can't like, what does it tell you?
Yeah, and even like it's not really like I feel like it's kind of like pointless for like I don't know if I want to use pointless, but it's like, kind of like it's more like of the senators' questions. I don't think it's like relevant so much. Like oh, like I don't. I
Do
guess
you
like
believe climate change is real?
yeah, I mean like and all these answers yeah, as you just said, she can't like legally like answer like her exact views, you know? So she just like and then like gets like a little workaround,
That's
you know?
my original point.
Right,
Is that
exactly.
like
Like
what are
100%
you
you.
gaining here?
I mean, it's nothing like against her, but like legally, I don't even know if she can like say half of these things that they're
I don't
asking
Yeah, I
her,
don't think
right?
she that's what I'm saying. She can't because I think there's a problem of
Yeah, like if
will
it
it
comes
come
up
up
in a
in a future
case,
case?
right? Yeah, so like and all the like questions you have to ask are the ones that are probably going to come up in a future case, you know, like if we're talking about climate change, then obviously it's something relevant, you know, and something that's going to come up. So like if it, you know, if it happens, then it's just it's just like, you know, they can't do anything about it, you know?
Right. Because like we've been saying this whole time, she can't answer any of them. So what is the point of asking the questions?
I mean, like, also, I'm just gonna say it, like, who's like listening to this and like with like popcorn and just saying like, "Wow, she said that," like, you
Political
know,
commentators.
yeah, yeah, and CNN and Fox, they're all having fun with these
Yeah,
hearings, but
or
like,
at Ben Shapiro.
oh God, no, no, I don't know. I just feel like these I don't even know, like, I just feel like at this point, like, they're gonna vote, you know? It's not really, it doesn't have to do with us anymore, you know? Because, like, the big Democrat thing was, like,
Well, it
let the
never
people
did.
decide. And I know they never did, but I'm saying, like, that's why the hearings don't matter then. Like, if it never has to really, like, do
Well,
with us,
because
you
you're
know?
you're rightfully so. You're thinking about it from a citizen standpoint. You're not thinking from it from a governmental perspective, rightfully so, because you're not a part of the government. But for the government, for the senators who are actually not sure if they're going to confirm or what they're going to vote, it actually does mean something. You know what I mean?
Right.
It does. The questions, I guess, do mean somewhat
The
something.
ones
I
she can answer.
exactly, but I think like I think like it's a difficult spot because like I don't know what I'm looking for here, but you can't. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like you know,
You think we should be able to, like, submit questions? Wouldn't that be interesting?
no,
Like,
because the
maybe,
point of the confirmation hearings is not a Q&A. It's not an information session for the public. It's an information session whether or not the future not chief justice, whoa, getting ahead of myself there, but the justice of the highest court in the land, not it's not just for fun. Ooh, let's see what question we could ask Amy Coney Barrett.
I
It's to
mean,
see if
like,
they should
obviously the
be
questions would
justice.
be like, I know. I just think like all the questions that we want answered, she can, you know, like what are her stance on like Roe v. Wade and all these like hot topics, you know, and like and she can't really, you know, say
Even if
anything.
the senators were to answer that, it wouldn't matter because she can't answer that.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I'm saying like all
But
these questions
I
that we
think
really do want answers to, you
yeah, but
know?
I think it makes sense. You know,
I mean, that just means like these hearings, like I
but I think it
obviously
makes
she
sense.
is saying like
She shouldn't be committing to something in hearings that she can't commit to.
right, and also like she'll get in trouble because if she says something now and then like the person has a great lawyer and it changes her perspective and she says otherwise, you know, and then everyone's gonna say like, well, at the hearing you said this, so like, you know, why did you do something else, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's not like it's 100% logical. Like I hear you. Like it makes
Yeah,
sense that she can't say anything, but then like
it's
why are
just
we doing
annoying
this hearings? You know, like
because that's my point originally. Was again,
why
rightfully
are we
so.
doing?
You're thinking of it through a citizen's perspective. You
I'm
know,
saying yeah, like
I don't need
for
to make the
the
point again. You understand? You know what I mean?
yeah, I got you. So like it's really just like for the senators, you know, like those questions that she can answer, they do want to know. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I got that.
I think I think from a governmental perspective, the questions make sense. But like what do we care? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Like some of them are like technical questions that we would never think of to like, you know.
Yeah. Oh, then what do we care? Then why are we talking about it in the podcast? Well, because that's what everyone's talking about. But yeah,
Yeah.
you want to get into the next topic, Aton?
This was a painful topic. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had to get a COVID test to return to school. We had a little bit of a hiatus break. We were on Zoom. They just wanted to clear things up, and in order to come back to school, which is actually, well, it's this Wednesday for us now, last week for you guys, and I'm excited because Zoom, as we talked about last episode, Zoom is interesting for me. I don't know personally, but whatever. So yeah, just like I had to get a COVID test. I was negative, but it was really painful. I don't know. You said you haven't gotten one, right?
Nah, I've never been tested actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, well, you're lucky, but besides that, like, really, all these, it's just like scary, Well, not sorry, I didn't mean to say like scary, but just like something that's happening in our community is like that the cases are on the rise, and that has changed stuff for our schools. I don't know about your school. We'll get into your school, but I'm saying like just for my school, they changed their policy that there's no more mask breaks. Like you have to wear your mask the whole time, inside and
Good.
outside, which is I know good.
I think
I'm
it makes
saying, well,
sense.
you have like a mask break outdoors, so we can't even take them
Yeah.
off outside though.
Mm.
So I mean,
That's
like they
that's
really
that's
tightened.
interesting.
I'm not like complaining. I think it's smart. It's like for
I
the
would
better
complain.
good. I mean, like it's for our safety.
Outside though.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think, and like also like we like my school's on like the same like we share campus with like a college actually.
Mhm.
So the college is actually like back in person now, and we are using some of their classrooms. So now we have to like relocate.
Really?
So we used to be in person like every day of the week, and now because we use the extra classes, now they want their classes back, so we have to be I'm actually going to be on Zoom every Tuesdays. So
Well, I was
just
I was Zoom either way. I once a week I'm Zoom on Thursdays.
right.
Um,
So
that's because um they're trying to minimize the amount of students in
in the
the school
building.
at once, which it's pretty smart if you think about it.
Right. So like what happened in my school is that like they had extra room, so they didn't need to minimize it, like they could fit everyone.
Right,
Now
right.
they
Because
can't.
they were
So
using some of the college's campus.
right. So like I was like great, like all my friends have like one day on Zoom, but I'm finally in person. Now it
Right,
makes
right.
sense like
I
now
kind of
that they're
like I
back.
kind of like the 1 day a week thing. You know,
Yeah, I mean like I'll try it out, the next week's going to be my
I
first
like I
week.
like the 1 day a week thing. It's like it's not like crazy, but you get like a one like calmer day, a half hour classes instead of 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, cases are on the rise in our community. You said your school's doing something else. I'm interested.
Yeah. On the contrast to your to the cases on the rise, basically, so is a street near literally 2 minute walk from our school that is has a whole bunch of restaurants,
Right.
and originally we're not allowed to
That was
go
the
there.
biggest blow for some teenagers over there. They can't go out for
Yeah,
lunch,
I don't care. I'm not
I
even gonna get
I mean
you
you
know
don't have you're a freshman, so mm, you
no,
don't know the
I'm saying either way I'm not really gonna like what I mean. Maybe once like every now and then I'll get some,
yeah,
but
I hear that.
um
But yeah,
back on
they
point. But so we're now allowed to go to restaurants mask at all times, even when outside, and there'll be faculty like there, like on the street, making sure you're distancing, you're
wow.
masked,
I
you're
mean like that's smart,
yeah, it makes sense.
It
It's
makes sense.
100% sense.
I mean, like, I wonder what happened that they're now allowed. Maybe they work
Right.
something out with like the restaurants that they can have like capacity or make like
I think
certain
it's just a
things.
matter of eventually opening up. Like we've had this discussion many times of
Yeah, yeah, I know.
um
big, big topics.
I think like it makes sense, if you can't just live like this forever.
I mean, yeah. I
So
mean, yeah. Everything's just like everything's different.
yeah, exactly. I think so. Next topic we have is a very random one, but I saw a TikTok about it, and I was like, "That's pretty interesting." So the question, Aton, is: if you are a parent, what age would you give your child a phone?
And like I don't know, I feel like my family's been affected by this question, you know? Like we had the same topic, you know, like when like I got a phone like sixth or seventh grade. Um no, I think it's sixth grade. But yeah, I feel like I don't know about your house, but I feel like we always have like that like conversation like when are they like old enough to have a phone? It's a good question, you know? Like when did you get your phone? What phone
So,
do you have?
well, I had a 6S was my original phone, and
Yeah, I also had like a six.
this past summer I got an 11 because my 6 was like quarter functioning.
Flex.
Like the way you know your phone's on the way out is like like my
Yeah,
battery
the
was
battery.
like it's the first sign always. So when do you think? What's your answer to the question?
Um, I don't think it's like a straight like okay they're 12 years old like it went like they were 11 and now like a second later they're 12 so now they're mature enough to have a phone or something. I think it really depends on the kid, you know. I mean, like certain kids can like handle their phone without whatever, like being addicted, but like like certain kids that you know will like definitely be like I don't know, like really addicted to their phone. So I feel like it has to do with the kid. Does that make sense?
I think that's a good answer.
What do you
Here's
yeah, what do you think?
here's my thing. Is it depends on the the um the past of the child. I'll explain what I mean. Meaning, do you as a parent are you confident that that like the trust but the mutual trust between you and your child will not be breached? Meaning, like, are you confident with your that's why I agree with you is with each kid. Are you confident that you are trusting your child to endless world of internet?
Exactly. That's why I
Meaning,
think it's huge. I'm like, are they ready? You know, whether you know, like just because they're 12 or something, you know, doesn't mean like they're
agreed,
automatically ready. Like it has to
agreed.
do with
But
like what kind of kid you are. You know.
yeah, I think also though I think though you can't let that view blind you. So I'll tell you what I mean. Let's say your kid is 13.
Right.
I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, you have the whole internet. You could always, you could whatever. I don't even know. Internet's a dark place, but you know what I mean. But
Right.
you as a parent also though that's why I think my first view is to a certain extent. You cannot take that. This is a very crucial point. Is you cannot take that to. I like how we're having this discussion like we know what we're talking about.
I know, right? Like Josh, I'm not a dad yet. Shh. Why are you asking me this?
um,
uh,
but it's good. It's good to talk about the future. Um,
well, the future.
speaking of the future, I
What's up?
um my my mind, but I saw a quote. It was really interesting. It was in a YouTube comment section of what I like to do while I'm studying
Read
is
YouTube comments.
listen to like meditation music. So I was studying for a test, and I was like, okay, like break time. So I was like, and I saw the first comment was this, a quote: "Our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but from wanting to control it." Khalil Gibran. How true is that?
Shout out.
So
Wow.
accurate. So accurate.
Uh,
Okay, so back on topic. I think that you can't let my first statement overview
well,
your
like
you're giving to your phone. So I'll tell you what I mean. So back to my 13-year-old example, meaning yeah, he has the whole internet or she has the whole internet, all of it, all that. You
right.
have all of that stuff that could possibly happen, but at a certain point you just need to get over your fears. But then that brings back to my original point. Has the child shown previously that you can't trust them with the phone? Has he breached
Right.
trust on the family computer?
Right.
And
And
then you might want to
also,
mate a bit. That's why it's different for each kid, but I think that those two principles could apply to each kid.
I hear that. One question that I like want to wrap up a little bit with, like that I think is interesting. It's kind of like a counter question I got. Do you think, I guess, but like, do you think that there's a age that's like too young, like regardless if they're like mature or not, like do you think that like there's like that like one age that like if you're like younger than 7, like don't get a phone, like I
I
don't know,
hope you don't
7.
have a iPhone. I hope you don't have a phone at 7. I would
Exactly,
say
like
what
is
grade is 11?
11 uh
Sixth. So
yeah,
I think
six
10, like end of 10 is
10 of
like
10.
is the youngest. I would, me personally.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, like, what's like a little bit of like a personal thing, but like in my family, it's like okay, now my sister has a phone, but like my father won't get her like Instagram because like she
I
has TikTok because
Yeah, I
like
don't
she
have
sees.
Instagram actually.
Is it like because like your family like limited or like
A combination.
are you not mature,
I
Josh?
probably I probably could. I probably could really push for it.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, if I really
you're a good
pushed
kid,
my
so
parents, if I really pushed my parents about it, I think I probably could.
Alright.
But that's my point, is that deep down I don't really
Need
want
it. You're
Instagram.
saying, yeah,
Like, I
I
don't
hear that.
want, you know what I mean? But I think I relatively have good self control. Like that's the reason like I like TikTok
Yeah, it's also like
is
a
because
big
I
thing, like
like
self control. No one to close the
right
app.
right is because I like is because I that's why I like TikTok. Is because TikTok I average on, this is my Sunday. My Sunday I was on TikTok today, uh 46 minutes.
What? How? It's Sunday. I'm on like my phone all day.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
terrible
Is
to say out loud, but like how are you?
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
you have.
saying. Is I generally have solid self control. But I mean,
Can you
like,
go outside, Josh?
what did I today? I got a flu shot today.
Oh, I got it the other day. I like my physical. Ooh, I
Yeah.
couldn't move my hand for like a few days. It looks
Yeah,
like you have
my
a
I'm
fly
feeling it
around
now.
you.
I'm trying. It's so annoying. It's like I'm just talking to Nathan. It's like it's not big. It's just annoying. Oh look,
Yeah,
it's by the light now, the very natural light.
very
But
natural. But yeah,
so we kind of agree there in meaning, like, we don't just hold
100%.
that, like, oh, you're 12, you're mature. Here's access to all of internet. There you go. Bye.
Right.
And now on to a special guest interview. We'd like to we would like to welcome onto the show our close friend and former Scholastic reporter. So, tell us your name and title at Scholastic.
Hi, I'm Josh Stiefel. I was a kid reporter at Scholastic for the Scholastic Kids Press Corps for about, I think, 3 years, 4 years now. And it's a position that I'm excited to tell you guys about.
Nice, nice.
Uh,
Yeah,
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 we're
for
excited to
those,
talk about it.
yeah, Josh is our close friend now for a few years, and yeah, actually, the podcast was actually supposed to be with Josh, original younger half member right here, but
Yeah,
yeah, he's still, still going strong with his good business value and good advice over here from Josh. So take it off with the second question, Ethan.
all right. So again, we want to thank you for coming on. But so the second question we have is like, first of all, what got you into reporting and writing? Like what comes to mind that you like thought to apply for Scholastic?
Right. So I've always been a little bit into writing, and when I was in third grade, I started writing book reviews for a local newspaper.
Oh
Third
wow.
grade?
But then
Wait,
what?
it was third grade?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought that was like last year.
Impressive.
Yeah, no. Someone who worked at our school got me into it, and then I started writing for them.
You wrote
Yeah,
for
and
a
then I used
newspaper in third grade, guys. We have a prodigy on our hands.
Yeah.
it was like, I don't know, it's like a local paper. They'll take anyone who submits to them. But
I still.
Wow,
yeah.
I thought
Wow.
it was like, I thought you were writing for them like seventh grade. I remember, like, I thought like our seventh grade teacher would like always bring it up or something like that. Like,
No.
wow, I
No, it
wow.
became yeah.
All right, well, I guess I just have bad sense of time.
No, so then a little bit later, someone told me my mom is a children's author, which kind of got me into writing. And then a friend of hers, because she used to work at Scholastic, told her about this program, and they knew that I was writing for a newspaper, so they told her that I might be interested.
And what
So,
grade was that again? Like, what grade?
this I got in the
Probably
summer of
first
sixth grade.
grade.
summer of fifth grade. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, yeah, so that happened in a
I was
pre-K.
kindergarten. Yeah.
Yeah, at birth.
I honestly
No,
wouldn't be
so
surprised.
so I started writing for Scholastic, and it was actually a great time. Like I got one of my first stories was they used to get I could get a press pass for things, which meant that I had
That's
different
pretty cool.
access to go to some. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's like
So I
it's
went.
like at a like a football game. It's like you like flash the pass and like you're like on the field
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
No, seriously. So one of my first stories was I got to go to some like authors convention to meet a bunch of people, which was cool. And then I
Yeah, is that
yeah.
sorry, I'm currently talking over the guest, but uh do you remember your first story? Like the first story, your first article you wrote, do you remember it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
tell us about it.
a friend of
Yeah.
my sister's is
What?
a world record holding power lifter. So
That's
my
cool.
first story, yeah, it was pretty cool. My first story, I like called her on the phone for a little bit, talked to her, got some cool quotes about like, what's it like to compete on like a huge worldwide national level in a sport like that. And that was actually a really interesting story to start off with because it really got me into the idea of just like this is what reporting is about. Like I've written book reviews before, but like there's something for me about talking to people about their stories that I always found was so awesome because you know something that not everyone reading the story does, and you have a good story to share with them.
So much sure. Like why is a fifth grader thinking like that?
Hey, actually,
Yeah, you're very mature, Josh.
part of what Scholastic did is they had us go to these like press briefings where basically they talked to us about how like, because you're a kid reporter, you're going to be at these events with other reporters and they're interested in you, so they're going to try to interview you about being a kid reporter and make their own articles. So it's actually happened a few times. I was on New Jersey radio, but a bunch of other kid
Huh?
reporters have been on TV across the country. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
was
I think
on.
I feel
That's so
like
cool.
you told me so many stories where you've been like I think you've always been like so close to like the next level thing. Like we'll get into this
Yeah.
later, but like did
Yeah, yeah,
you I think you told me one time like you like almost like you were gonna meet Eli Manning, but like that didn't end,
yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like we'll get into
There were a
that a
lot of
little later in the interview, but you know what I mean? Like just like crazy things like that, like so close, but then like the interview gets canceled. They're like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you're on the radio, but you're not on Fox
yeah.
News.
I mean, so in my opinion, the craziest story I ever did was where I was writing an obituary after Dr. Stephen Hawking died. He like was
Yeah,
this revolutionary physicist. You guys probably heard of him. And
yeah.
I was interviewing a pretty close friend of his who won a MacArthur grant. It's one of the highest prizes you could get in science. He's like this
Whoa.
international scholar. He created like huge scientific mathematical principles that like are still being like figured out today, and this guy's like a super genius. So I email him one day and I'm like, his name's like Professor Edward Whitten. And I was like, "Hi, Professor Whitten. I'm Josh. I'm a kid reporter for Scholastic. It'd be really cool if I could get to call you sometime, talk about, Stephen Hawking, your relationship with him, what he was like, and just
Wow.
what that's like." And this world famous physicist gives me his phone number, and he's like, "I'm speaking at a conference now. I'll be done in 15 minutes. Call me then. We could talk." And
It's
I'm
like
like,
That's so cool.
I
yeah,
remember,
it's
yeah,
like that crazy feeling like
Yeah.
I don't know
Were
if
you
this
not
is
like,
I don't know if this is like classified Aton, but me and Aton, hopefully this is all obviously unconfirmed. Hopefully, a New York Times reporter will be hopefully coming on soon in around late November. Don't know if I should
yo,
be saying
sick.
this, but whatever.
It's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it's like that feeling like you email them like oh like whatever, and then like oh whoa like you just like you and then no then they don't answer after a week like you follow up like okay like I guess like whatever this isn't happening, and then and then like you see the
we'll be back?
notification on from the Gmail app, you're like oh my like it's like
Yeah, and it's also like really nerve-wracking, you get like so excited, then you're like, wait, this is happening. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
or even it's even next level for Josh though because I feel like that is like that's like
yeah, that's amazing,
that
though.
that beats out that beats out all stories, like that's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I think that I'm sure you guys have written up a question about this, but I think that one thing that I didn't realize about reporting as opposed to just creative writing or something else is that when you're writing an article and you're reporting, it's so much more than just writing the article because first of all, the hardest step is, I'm sure you guys have experienced this with getting people for the podcast, but one of the hardest steps is just getting people join your interview. Like I went to all of these Scholastic sessions about like what happens if I'm trying to interview some famous politician, some famous athletes, someone in any position, and it's just hard to get to them because that's something that's hard to do. So there are all these different strategies, and I had to like write the perfect email word for word, learn how to do it, and I had to learn like how to talk to someone when I'm making a request. Sometimes you have to talk to like someone's secretary in order to get to them, and that's so nerve-wracking because you know that if you say the wrong
Yeah.
thing, like I'm done with Scholastic now. I'm trying to move on to different things, but
Yeah, that
one of my
we
last stories there, yeah,
yeah that we got. That's a future question right there because I remember you were telling me something about that, so I was like, "Ooh, I'll write a question about that."
yeah. So one thing that kind of stood out to me was where I tried to get through to the White House,
Oh yeah, I remember the
and
story.
obviously the White House is like notoriously hard to get to,
It's also the White
especially
House.
yeah, especially like during the time of elections. It's like the golden thing to get. And a few years back, like some kid reporters interviewed Michelle Obama, and that was pretty cool.
When
But
Wow.
sorry, just I know the answer, but for the people at home who don't know, when were you reaching out to the White House?
oh, just this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. So basically, you send them an email, nothing happens. So I kind of dug a little bit far into the internet and got to a phone number to call the White House.
Oh yeah.
So,
Mhm.
I call them and obviously someone picks up, sounds really busy, and I said, "Hi, my name's Josh. I'm here representing an organization called the Scholastic Kids Press Corps." And the guy goes, "Sorry, I'll forward you a different number," and then hangs up. Just like that. And it was a story I was looking forward to because it's not every day that you get to interview someone from the
White
White
House
House.
representative.
Yeah, but this guy just hangs up on me. So then call back. Make sure to do it 5 minutes later so that the lines could like reset. I didn't end up with the same guy because didn't like him. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
actually remember
I
that. You
yeah,
called
That's
me
funny.
afterwards. You're like, yeah, like man, this guy was so annoying. Like, so like
yeah.
he
No, but then I called back 5 minutes later and I got the same guy.
Oh
he's
God.
like he's
So
like
I was
no.
just like, yeah, I was just like, so could I get the number for press requests? And this guy just goes like, yeah, hang on, I'll send it to you. And then he
And then
forwards
go
me a
get.
different number. I
Yeah,
Oh.
know that'd
Josh,
be hilarious.
Josh, it would. I'm surprised you pulled off. You could have you should have been like hello, like my name is Josh. I'm 33 years old.
A totally different
And
person
I
than
work
you just heard.
for the New York Times and
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it could have worked, but he forwarded me to some other guy who gave me to some other number who gave me this email, and then I email it,
it's one of
and a
wild
week later,
witches.
yeah, but then a week later I don't get a response. So I follow up and I don't get a response, and I follow up and I didn't get a response.
Yeah, I mean,
And I mean sometimes, yeah,
no, yeah. Finish your story. I have something to say after that.
yeah, sometimes like something that I learned over these last few years is that the hardest part of reporting isn't always writing the article. It's trying to get the interview, trying to set up the story because
Yeah.
those are the hardest things to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. I think something that me and Eitan have found helpful is instead of emailing like a while back, I think it was episode 4 it was, I'm pretty sure. We
Yeah.
had director of microbiology at it was a longer title, I don't know, but um
Yeah.
at the NIH, Dr. Emily Earbelding. So, I think what do we do, Eitan? We emailed like literally like 8 or 9
Yeah.
doctors,
Yeah.
high up
We
doctors. We
just
emailed
like.
a whole bunch of. We emailed the professor at Harvard. And also you have to lower the expectations. Meaning
Right.
what we did was we were like, all right, like sure, we'll email this professor at Harvard, whatever. And then sure, and then you follow up with them all a week later. Actually, interesting thing was first we I don't know why I'm becoming storyteller, but whatever. Since it's prepared for a little different type of interview, since it's friend here, but
Yeah.
the story was I remember this when the doctor a
Which one?
doctor at our a local hospital, she so Eitan gave her the
Oh
number and
yeah.
stuff,
She
I
called
think,
me.
and she called Eitan, and we were like in the we were like, all right, let's wait off a few days, and sure enough we got an email from Dr. Belding's like secretary, and there we go, the rest is history. So I think
You know.
back to the point was 100%. The hardest part is not crafting the interview. Took us half hour, but the hardest part was running on a goose chase, taking an hour to write up the emails and the stress
So
of
that's the fun part, Josh. That's like the good
100%.
part.
It's fun, but
Find
it's for
like
sure fun,
like
but
what
it's definitely challenging.
yeah,
Right.
like what
So
what what sorry, but like what Josh did, like he went through probably like 100 different like websites to find the number. It's like I don't know, I guess it's like it's fun.
Right.
yeah. One thing that was really helpful through just trying to get an interview was that my editor at Scholastic, I'm not actually sure if I'm allowed to say her name. Like,
Really?
yeah, because of she's pretty high up at Scholastic, so like in order to get to her, you have to get through other people, which I always thought was funny.
Ooh.
But
Wait,
like my editor,
I thought you would speak to her directly. No, you'd be like,
no,
yeah.
I would speak to her directly, but like we weren't
Oh,
supposed to give out her email like everything because then she could end up on like mailing lists and stuff, and her job involves a lot of emailing, so it's just like
mm,
complicated. But basically my editor, um, she had this book of contacts from different organizations, which was awesome sometimes because like you had to talk to someone from the New York Giants and you'd say, you know,
oh wow,
editor, yeah, do you have someone from this team? And she'd say, no, but I have someone at, this team.
wow.
I could use them to get through. So, right. So that's how a lot of the best
That's
stories that
cool.
Scholastic wrote got set up
A lot of
because,
it is just
you
like
know,
power, kinda, you know.
yeah, it's not just that, it's about knowing the right people. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
before she
knowing
was
the
someone,
but that comes with power.
right. So during the Obama administration, she knew someone who was like higher up in the White House. So that was awesome because it meant that she could use that person to meet their boss, and then their boss knew Michelle Obama, and then that was how she set up an interview with Michelle Obama.
Right. So, um, let's see if I had this in a later question. Okay, fine. So I'll just ask this now then. This is not in our interview document, but hopefully Josh has an answer. Um, then did you like I think I'm implying from previous things that you did, but I'll just ask to make sure. You like reached out to people for your own stories, meaning oh wow. I almost said your editor's name, but your meaning your editor did your editor let's say reach out to the Trump administration also, or did you like how does it
Yeah,
work?
that's what I was wondering.
Is
Her
it a
also.
is it a duo? Is it you and the editor? Does the editor help? Are you solo? Do you have like maybe someone between?
Right. So that's a good question. Sometimes it gets, a little complicated with like regarding who, because at the end of the day, like yes, while I am technically a reporter, I was also still a student sometimes in fifth, sixth, seventh grade. And,
Right.
given a chance between talking to me and talking to someone from the New York Times, well, like, yes, Scholastic articles do get published pretty widely. They're not always so, I don't know how to say this. They're not always so
Like
direct, meaning that, an article from the New York Times, you know where it's going. An article from Scholastic might just end up on their virtual website, in which case it does get views and readership, but it does get significantly less than if it had been published in a magazine. That was always a goal of mine at Scholastic because you knew when you published an article into one of their magazines, it meant that it was a good article and it was a good story. But basically my editor sometimes, when someone didn't respond, she would reach out, say, I'm an editor at Scholastic, this is what happens. And one unique thing that started happening, later on into while I was at Scholastic was that people would email her asking if they could talk to me or to a different kid reporter, which was actually kind of cool when someone says, I have a story, could you send
Right,
me
right,
there?
right. She's
It's
kind of
actually
your
yeah,
editor's just kind of like your CEO, you know. She's there
yeah.
like when you need it. You know,
right.
you can't. You're having difficulty with this story. You know, you call her up or you email her for a meeting, and you know she emails her guy who will then, you know what I mean? Like she's kind of just like there for you. You know what I mean?
Right, it's a good
Right.
way to think of it. One of my favorite stories actually, where I went to, there's a New York Toy Fair. It's like a trade fair. It's awesome. All these, it's in the Javits Center. It's this huge convention center in New York City. I think there was something like 2,000 different booths from all these different companies trying to publicize all these toys they were selling. And basically, this is so weird, but it's an adults only toy convention, right? Which sounds so
Mhm.
interesting. But
Yeah.
really what that means is that it's made so that people can invest in their businesses, people could look at what they're selling, people could write reviews of them and publicize them. But I was the only person in that entire place under the age of 18, which meant that while I was there, everyone was handing me stuff and people were interviewing me asking what I thought of them because like I was the only child in that building.
Was it a
Like,
reason that there was it was under 18 or?
yeah, because because I was a reporter, I could get in, but I mean there were a few other kids, but it was like kids who have YouTube channels and stuff. Like I actually met someone who has like
Oh
some
yeah,
little
you
kid.
told me this.
Yeah. I met some little kid who has like a huge YouTube channel that's managed by his dad. I forgot what it's called, but it has like a few million followers.
Wow,
And
that's cool.
yeah, just because like, influencers get invited to these things. But just in terms of that toy fair, like everyone was anxious to get a quote from the one kid who was there about what he thought of their stuff. So I walked home with like 3 bags full of just free stuff that people kept handing me, which was kind of funny.
That's very funny. Yeah, on the topic of experiences, you might have answered it literally 10 seconds ago, but let's see. So like what was
Good intro.
who this is a little vague question, but
Yeah.
who/what was like the best experience you had? Meaning, so what was the best interview? What was the best? Not the best article. Best article is a future question, but the best experience you had with Scholastic.
Right. So, I mean, there are a few that come to mind.
Yeah. So yeah, you could have a bunch. You had a bunch of years there, bunch of stories.
Yeah, just to list 2 that really come to mind. One of my favorites is when I was on the radio with Scholastic.
Yeah, that's
It was
cool.
just like it was a lot of fun. I thought that like, being on the radio, there's this I think it was New Jersey Central Radio. It was like W92.3 or like KCR or something like that. But the host, this guy Bert Barron, is just this really like nice dude, but he has such a radio personality that you're talking to him and like he's messing with you. And I was in like 5th or 6th grade then, and it
Right.
totally went above my head. And like afterwards, my mom taped the interview so I could listen to it. And I listened to it like recently, like a few months ago, and I was like, wow, I was terrible on this. Like some guy was. I think
That's
I looked at the number, and I think like 20,000 people were listening directly
Wow.
at that
Wow.
time.
Yeah, it's
And then yeah, and that was just the local. Like, I mean, I had cousins streaming in and like relatives because I was
Right.
on the radio. It was pretty cool. But
That's cool.
yeah, but like all these people
Yeah.
are listening to me, and I was like so awkward and little.
It's funny you say that. It's like me and Aton. Listening to like our first 5 episodes, it's like it's like uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, that's like everyone. Like, sorry, really, that's like everyone. When you start off young at something, like you always like you're gonna improve.
yeah, that's a very important skill. Like people who are afraid to fail are never gonna accomplish anything because if they're not gonna do anything because they're too scared to fail. That's a very extreme case, obviously, but to a certain extent.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, my favorite thing about just the whole experience that I've had is really just every little part of it, that every story that I've had, I think has some kind of takeaway. There's something to learn from it. Like, being on the radio, it's like a lesson like public speaking almost, where I don't think I'm ever, if I do, it would be pretty wild, going to like speak in live real time to that many people at once.
Right.
Just like local New Jersey people driving to work, turn on the radio, it's my voice that they're hearing. And that kind of was a deep impression on me because I realized that like I'm kind of representing something. I'm representing this organization. Something that was really impressed on me when I first started Scholastic was that there's this I call it, or it's called a reporter's duty, right? Your duty as a reporter is to tell, the truth of the news. Sometimes depending on what you're writing, with an unbiased opinion. Give the people the facts. It's what they need to hear. If someone's struggling to know something, they have to know it. I know that this was a question that you guys probably have coming up, but my favorite story was when recently, at the beginning of the COVID epidemic, I wrote about the outbreak. I interviewed 2 epidemiologists from the CDC on this video. There were a bunch of people sitting in to listen and taking notes. It was pretty cool, lots of pressure. But I interviewed these 2 CDC doctors about just their jobs at the CDC, what they're doing to prevent the virus. And it was at the very beginning of this when there was so much confusion going around. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember when people were destroying those like 5G towers because they thought they were
like
spreading
those
corona?
conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. So like I talked to them about that, and the purpose of my article, like writing it, I felt like, wow, this is important. This is going to mean a lot to someone, knowing that these are the facts.
Right.
Being able to
Right.
quote
That's a
someone,
big it's a big like motivation right there.
right?
Yeah.
I
And being able, yeah.
I have a question. When you said unbiased reporting, but isn't there biased reporting, meaning like a liberal news outlet, a conservative news outlet? Is that not
Yeah, but it's like it's Scholastic Kids. It's not like,
Right. So I
not
mean,
so biased.
I'm
one
saying
of
in
the like
general.
guidelines.
I'm not challenging
Oh yeah,
Scholastic,
okay.
Eitan. I'm just saying in
Yeah.
general. It's a general
One
question
of
if you're
the
a reporter.
Right. So one of the guidelines that Scholastic set for us was that we should never give biased news. Because we're a kids news outlet, we're trying to give these kids just not our opinions. We could give them our opinions, but that would mean that we're not really doing our duty to them just to tell them the facts of what's going on and explain the situation. So what that meant for me was that, at this one point, I wrote a story about it was partially a story about Corona, but really it was a story about the Black Lives Matter movement across the country. And while I was writing for that story, something that was going on was that I had gone to a march and I shared a picture of it in the article. And obviously, I support Black Lives Matter. That happens to be my opinion. But someone who I'm associated with through Scholastic took what I wrote, and I don't know how to put this, but they kind of changed it a little bit, so it seemed like I was very, very opinionated on the topic. And then
Wow.
I went on vacation, it got published, and this article was published using a lot of information that I'd never said that seemed to suggest something like very strong politically. And
I mean,
originally I was frustrated because I said like, this is my opinion. Sure, I might agree with what happened here, but it's not that that's personally what I believe. It's what was put in there. It's very different.
Right. It's
right, and that's
someone
all.
else. It's someone else talking to you. That's not a good feeling. Thousands of. I mean, I'm making this number up. I don't know how many people read Scholastic articles, but I think like thousands of people are seeing like something that's not actually yours. That's not. You know what I mean? That doesn't feel great.
Right.
Yeah, and like this is the next question we have is like that. What was the hardest part about being a reporter? Was it like like this like certain situations where like something you said like came out wrong, or like even just like balancing your life,
Right. Like sports and like homework and tests and school stuff like that.
Yeah, just like general.
Yeah, I mean that's a question that I've been asked a bunch of times from people who are interviewing me. Like I'm
Currently.
happy to send you guys this article. Yeah, I was interviewed for the New York Times one time. I was in
No biggie.
yeah, no, I was. I wrote an article for the New York Times one time. That was cool.
That's
But
cool.
Wow.
yeah, that was really cool. But there's just this one time when I was at an event where I interviewed. Do you guys know who Judy Bloom is?
Yes, I do
Yeah, the
actually.
author.
That's
Yeah,
a
so
iconic like younger author. I remember from like third or fourth grade.
yeah, so for Judy Bloom's 80th birthday, she had this event at it's called the Leonard Nimoy Thalia Theater in the city. I don't know. It's a cool event space. You guys should check it out. It's random, but they had these very personal events where you get to meet people who are speaking. So not just because I was a reporter, like lots of kids were doing it, but I got to meet Judy Bloom there. I got to meet. I don't know if you guys know who Jackie Woodson is, but Jacqueline Woodson. But she's this, award-winning. She won a Newbery Kid Reporter. She won like Coretta Scott King Award. Um, she's this amazing children's author who now she has some titles. She's like she's a national ambassador to children's literature, something like that. I don't
That's
know,
so cool. It's
but
like the
Yeah,
yeah,
feeling that like me and Aton are with like Dr. Erwelding, talking.
yeah,
She's like under Fauci or something. Like it's such a cool thing, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
yeah. I
So
mean,
sorry,
I've like
yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Sometimes I end up talking to someone, and like it takes a minute to hit in like who I'm talking to.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking to someone who's like higher up at the CDC, and I was just like talking to him and thinking like,
Like
oh my God, I'm talking to this guy who makes the decision if my school is open or closed this year. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
that's literally me and Aton with Dr. Erwelding. Like I remember,
Yeah,
I remember
It's
me and Aton hopped on the interview. We keep going back to that episode, but
yeah,
we
check it out, guys.
Ethan loves himself some plugs. Yeah, you should definitely go check it out, all platforms. But yeah, I remember we hopped on like a half hour before the interview. It was like it was our first interview, first Career Angle episode, and it was like, oh my god, like, okay, I'm talking to the person who's under faculty right now. Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Is I remember that I was actually shaking. It was
Yeah, I know.
so yeah. Continue
One
what you're
thing that
saying, Josh.
Yeah, so one thing that I always thought was that your biggest story is always like what you think about whenever you have a smaller one. You're always like, I could do this. I've done crazier things. So I
Yeah.
mean, really, just the biggest project I ever did with Scholastic was when this you might have heard of him. His name is Ziauddin Yousafzai. He's the father of Malala Yousafzai, who's
Oh
this
yeah,
Nobel Peace Prize winning. Um, she's from Pakistan originally, but she was the youngest woman to ever win a Nobel Peace Prize. And just when it happened, she was a huge deal. She was shot by.
yeah. I
It
remember
was
this.
a
Yeah,
whole
it was.
crazy.
There's like a book about her,
Yeah.
movies,
She wrote an
so a whole thing.
autobiography. Right. So, her dad, probably must have been around a year ago, published this amazing book called, I think it's called Let Her Fly, about, raising a Nobel Peace Prize winning daughter, but also just like
Wow.
how, like, he doesn't get credit for it, but behind the scenes, this guy did so many amazing things, like stood by her side, had her with him, and he wrote this incredible book. So when it all came out, three other Scholastic reporters and I sat around and interviewed him. And there are a bunch of tapes of it up online. It was like an hour and a half interview. It was actually,
Wow.
yeah, one of the craziest things about it. It was the only Scholastic thing I did that was filmed by a professional film crew. Meaning we're
Huh.
standing there, we're all like mic'd up. They're like,
That's so
tables in front of us. We're sitting in like a studio with like there was like a set. It was crazy. It looks like, if you look at the interview, it looks like we're sitting on a couch in like an office. We were sitting in this like cardboard cutout wall thing, and like just
What?
sitting there was the weirdest thing. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I might have some pictures I could send you guys, but that's not the point. Thing was that I was interviewing some guy whose daughter was a Nobel Peace Prize winning person, just overall one of like the craziest things in the world. Just talking to him and thinking like, wow, this guy really changed the world. I have to do my duty to tell his story in the best way possible.
Right, right. So next question we have for you is I actually threw this in the middle of the interview, but what would you, if anything, what would you tell present Josh, what would you tell yourself like in the middle or before you started Scholastic, like about your Scholastic journey that you think would benefit you? You understand the question?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I would have told myself just to go all in for it, because there were so
Yeah.
many stories that I almost got and so many stories that I could have had. I was gonna interview Eli Manning about his work for this organization, Tackle Kids Cancer. So
Right.
they're affiliated with Hackensack Hospital. It's a great organization, but I talked to the head of Tackle Kids Cancer, and I tried to get through to Eli Manning, but instead I talked to his agent. I had a bunch of emails with his agent, which is pretty cool because he's the agent
Right.
for, Eli Manning, but he's also the agent for a bunch of other like huge football stars. So that was actually an email that my editor kept because she wanted it so that she could, use it to get to other people if she ever needed to talk to some athlete. But basically, I was talking to one of the highest
Mm.
sports agents in the world, some guy
Yeah, that's
who's
so cool.
negotiates contracts with the New York Giants, and I was just like kind of shocked when when that email shows up in your
Yeah.
inbox. You're like, whoa.
Right.
But eventually in the end, that story didn't work out. I wrote the story. I wrote it just about Tackle Kids Cancer. I never really talked to Eli Manning. I was able to quote him through his agent,
Next time.
but yeah, but it never really worked out.
Right. So the
Alright.
next question we got, Aton.
Yeah, so this is pretty much like, I think it's a big question. Overall, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah, exactly. If I had to put it simply, yes, I did.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could say that
There's no deep answer to it.
this was
Yeah. It was
this
a
was an
quick
it
question,
was an experience for me. It's the kind of thing that I started writing articles for a huge news outlet, a publishing agency, when I was in fifth grade. It's not the
Right.
kind of thing that I can, do over again.
Also, yeah.
It gave me so many opportunities, opened so many doors, new windows. I got to just look at things in different perspective and say, if I want to write something, there's nothing stopping me. I just email the people who are involved, talk to them, and then I can get it done. Get it, do it. It's really been amazing to me to see the work that some other kid reporters are doing over the years. I doubt that any of them are ever going to listen to this, but I've emailed a bunch of kids, talked to some. I even someone followed me on Instagram and we used to talk to each other a lot. But one thing that struck me was how passionate some of these kids are. They're all my age. They're all between 5th and 8th grade. And one kid was writing about child labor laws on the streets of where he lives in, I think, India. One kid
Wow.
a bunch of kids met Joe
Wow.
Biden, met Pete Buttigieg, met Kamala Harris, talked to them. I don't know if you guys know this. When a reporter gets a quote from someone, it's not like they sit down for a private interview with them.
Right.
It's like a quick,
means that-
It
Not
could be, it
necessarily,
could be through somebody.
Right. It could be through a representative who speaks in their name. That's how I got quotes from Eli Manning. But when a reporter talks to someone sometimes, they're standing while the person walks through a crowd and they yell out a question to them and hope they respond.
Right.
So I remember for Scholastic, when a president is going to a rally, or sorry, not a president, when a presidential candidate is going to a rally and you want to try to talk to them, you have to yell your question louder than everyone around you, somehow get their attention, and then hear them well enough to get the quote accurately.
Right. Like
right.
the
It's a process.
determination you're saying.
Not just the determination, but just the sheer force of will that you need. So whenever I see an article and it's from someone who interviewed a huge presidential candidate, it was kind of shocking for me, seeing this little kid standing next to Joe Biden at a rally, or standing next to some huge figure just because they were the ones who were screaming their name loudest.
Right. So the last question we have before we jump into some sports discussions is you clearly have some talent for writing. Writing for our local newspaper in 3rd grade, a book review. You clearly
Yeah.
are good writers. So do you have any plans for the future after you've left Scholastic within the writing community?
Well, that's definitely a good question. I'm working on a few ideas right now just because I am done with Scholastic, but I aged out of the program. So, I mean, there's a lot there to think about. But one thing that I tried doing is that obviously I'm not the only Scholastic reporter who's aging out this year. So I've always thought about trying to talk to other people about their experiences. There's some emails going around right now trying just to get a bunch of kids into something so that together we could hopefully we could start something, bigger. Because thinking back on it, so many kids have the same experiences as me and some of them are way more passionate about it than I am. And that means that just being able to work with those people for an extended amount of time would be awesome. But not everything works out as part of writing. So right now, what I'm looking forward to is I'm starting a club at my high school. You guys should check out this program. It's called I don't know exactly what it's called. The LA Times runs this program that a lot of kids from Scholastic go to when they're done. Or you could start a chapter at your school. And basically what they do is you write articles, and then if it's a good article, it gets published in the LA Times. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool program.
Really cool.
So I'm working towards starting a club at my high school where we could all, work on that together.
That's awesome. Yeah, so
Wow.
before you go, Josh, we want to get into some sports. That was a really great interview. But yeah, while you're here, let's get in some.
Now let's get into some sports discussions with obviously our friend Josh. So I think what was it last night? By the time this comes out, it'll be 2 Saturdays ago. I believe the Rays beat the Astros to head to the World Series.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a bombshell right there.
I know. I feel like the Rays are such a random team, even though they're good this year.
Yeah, I mean, also they beat the Astros. cheaters,
That
but
too.
they're
For me,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of things. There are a bunch of things about these playoffs that like kind of stood out. Number one, I'm a Yankees fan, and the Yankees lost to the Rays, which is so
Oh
weird.
yeah, that was
Like
great.
that bothers me. But aside from that,
let's go Mets.
the Astros, the Astros almost made it to the World Series after they cheated last year and were penalized for it, and then they just came back. Like no one's talking about that. The team that
Yeah.
cheated, and everyone was like, they cheated. Maybe we should take them out of contention this year. And then they just made it back to the same place, and no one said anything.
A point
Yeah.
that my father made was that, and he could have gotten this from somewhere else. So, but meaning like from a radio, but whatever. A point that he told me was that the reason that there's not as much drama regarding teams and the Astros is because of the like kind of like cutoff because of COVID. And if they like started on time, then it would still be like bad blood and stuff. But like since they started later, I think it was a good point actually. And there's less time since there's only 60 games. I thought it was a good point.
Actually, does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they still had to beat like all these teams,
Yeah,
They still
for
had to
sure.
win.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and on talk of baseball, the Braves Dodgers Game 7 is actually going on right now. It is 2-2 in the bottom of the third. I think that's a great game. I'm gonna watch that after we're finished recording here. I think it's a
I mean,
fantastic.
like, how random, like Braves, Tampa Bay, World Series. Like,
Well,
I know they're
they're
good.
two
Obviously,
quality
they're
teams, first of
good.
all. But what you mean by that is like it's
You just don't.
shocking. The Dodgers, they're like their team
Yeah,
is
and
literally
the
overpowered.
Astros. Well, both. Yeah, like both of
Not going
these
over the
teams,
calendar.
Yeah, but like both of these teams are like both of these teams that were beaten were like in the World Series and in the playoffs like the last couple of years, where like Tampa Bay and the Braves didn't make it as far. I just think that's like.
Because the Braves are high on trajectory, meaning they're
I mean, yeah,
they're a very young team with a lot of talent. What do you got to say to
as
that,
we
Josh?
see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that personally, I don't know. Baseball is just it goes differently every year. All the teams that are the most talented never seem to win. Like I never got that
That's
because
actually a
injuries
great
are so
point.
frequent. Injuries are so frequent in baseball that like, Yankees signed Garrett Cole to a 10-year deal. Garrett Cole's worse the next year. I never understood that. Like
That's Mets luck for you. Sign Edwin Diaz, and
yeah.
he has like 2 saves that year. Like that's
Yeah,
like
no,
Mets luck
exactly.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, baseball's a sport that's so random sometimes that I just don't understand.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Actually, talking about baseball, me and my brother had a solution. My brother had the solution actually. So basically, when you throw a wiffle ball, the wind controls the wiffle ball. I mean, you don't know where the wiffle ball's going. Yeah, I told Josh
I
this.
don't know where you're going with this.
No, I told you. It was today actually. I told you. Remember I showed you on FaceTime the ball, but whatever. Back to what I was saying was that uh, basically, so we duct taped the wiffle ball to block the wind from going in, and now it curves like crazy, and it's basically a baseball without breaking the neighbor's window. How funny is
Sounds
that?
good.
You're a
Yeah.
scientist, Josh.
No, my brother is.
Oh, your brother's a scientist, Josh.
Yeah, so whatever.
That's cool though.
Back into sports. For
Well,
those that don't know,
fantasy.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but me and Josh co in a money fantasy league. We co-own Team Ooh Ah Ah. Why that is our name? I think the commissioner changed. Yeah, don't ask. But
In the 7th grade boys league.
yes, legendary. Um, so Josh, we are projected 200 points. Even though Cooper Cup currently has no points and it's about to be halftime, and we did bench Debo Samuel as 13 points. It's a little unfortunate, but it's hey, it's all good because Justin Jefferson had 40 points. So we still got Travis Kel. We have right now we're winning 143 to 115, and he's got Mahomes and he's got Mahomes and Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Cowboys.
Wow.
And we got Allen and Kelsey, and we're up by like I don't know. Josh could probably do the math better than I could, but yeah, we got Debo Samuel on the bench, And there's an interesting trade in our league. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. You guys at home could also um think about your opinions on this. The deal was my friend texted me today. He goes, should I do Jameson Crowder and Daryl Henderson for CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor? He's giving CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor. My friend actually might be listening to this right now. Shout out to him. But so CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor is who he'd be giving for Jameson Crowder and Daryl Henderson. What do you guys think? Josh, go for
To
it.
be honest, I don't think it's such a worthwhile trade because it doesn't really change so much, for the team.
I didn't. Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Meaning, I think that yeah, I get it. It's a good trade. It doesn't really benefit either side that much though. I guess it depends on their needs. But
I didn't like it because think about it this way: Cam Akers is back, meaning Daryl Henderson's carry percentage. Wrong word, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Is about his workload. That's what I'm looking for. Is about to go down significantly. Jameson Crowder is good. I think he's a little overvalued. I think he's good. For CeeDee Lamb, who just lost Dak Prescott, but I mean he's still good, and he has Andy Dalton, meaning he doesn't is Andy Dalton Dak Prescott? Heck no. Is he awful? Is he he's bad, but he could throw the ball is all I have to say. And Jonathan Taylor is better than Daryl Henderson and Jameson Crowder, so I feel like he was giving too much for too little in return.
Right.
Right. It does make a lot of sense. I think that ultimately what it comes down to is what do you gain personally for your team based on their needs? It's a lot of what fantasy football is.
Yeah, which is why a lot of times when you're getting wrecked in the fantasy group chat for and fantasy football emoji, when Siri, when you have your AirPods in and Siri's calling out the text. So message from Josh. Fantasy football emoji, money emoji. It's funny, but
it does it reads each emoji.
Yeah, I don't need that.
Does it say money?
Yeah, it says money emoji. I think.
I need to spam you a bunch of emojis when you have your AirPods.
Eitan, what do you got on the trade? You got any opinions or?
I mean, I'm kind of building off what Josh said. I feel like it's even.
Which one?
No, I'm saying it's kind of 0 for 0.
Right.
I don't really think each one has the leverage.
I think Lamb and Taylor personally lost,
disagree,
but. So we got a few football scores here. The Niners are beating the Rams. My Jets. The Jets.
Don't even bother. Jets.
No, me and my dad have this recurring joke for 2 years now. We're rooting for them to go in 0-16. Beginning of each year, we were rooting for them to go in 0-16.
Have they won yet? I think they won.
They're 0-6. 0-5, 0-6, one of those. They lost 24-0 to Fitzmagic's Dolphins. They're so bad. They were so bad.
Tua's back.
Tua got his first snaps. But I don't know. We should probably let's wrap up the interview after solid 45 minutes. Thank you so much, Josh. I mean, great having you on the podcast. I'll probably talk to you later or see you tomorrow. But great having you on, man.
For sure.
Great interview. So that is the end of this week's episode, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Follow us on Instagram at theyoungerhalf. Check us out on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at theyoungerhalf. And if you want to help us grow, consider supporting us on anchor.fm/theyoungerhalf/support or press the link in the description. For questions or comments, email us at theyoungerhalf@gmail.com. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe.